what are we doing today? Well, it's lockdown, so we're not going anywhere unnecessary and resources are getting hard to find. However, among those resources is the humble mouse. This is my good old and rather dirty Logitech M90, which is not a particularly famous mouse, but I'm known for wearing mice out, and I had a whole heap of these. This is my last one, and over the space of the last year, I've nearly worn through the buttons, and I've nearly worn out the button. And I'm noticing lately, I thought I was having troubles with MS, and I was having problems controlling things and coordination and dragging things to the wrong places and whatnot. Well, it actually turns out that I may have worn out a tactile switch in this. It wouldn't be the first time I've done that. I've worn out several, and for some people you would probably think that tactile switches never wear out, but they do. And of course I've got, you know, big meaty hands, I guess, and yeah, I do a lot of clicking, and especially when I had some overheat problems a little while ago and things would freeze up, I kind of got a little rough with the mouse. That might have contributed to its early demise. But let's have a look on mouseclick.net and we'll see if it will behave for the screen. Or this is online mice test. Anyway, as you see, when you click buttons, left button works fine. I can go double click, it responds very nicely, regularly. The up and down wheels, if I do this, up and down wheels work alright. This button sort of sometimes clicks. I'm going to hold the button. Every now and then it'll click and not quite respond. So if I do this, you'll also hear in the background my neighbour's taken exactly this moment to fire up the router, so you'll have to deal with that. But you'll see here sometimes it just doesn't respond, or I'll be clicking and dragging and it'll sort of get all funny there and not quite respond right. So I think tactile button is wearing out. So I'm going to open it up, clean it out, see if that improves anything, and if not, we're going to swap the tactile switch over, because I've run out of M90 mice. I bought a whole bunch of ex-surplus government machines a few years ago for a bunch of different people, and they came with keyboards and mice, which weren't wanted by the new owners of said computers, so I kept them all. And I've been using M90 mice and I've come to really like them. I'm actually pretty quick in CAD with them. So let's get this guy unplugged and opened up. I've started filming again, and now we have a King Air B350, I think is the type of aircraft flying overhead. Pretty sure that's a RAF vehicle, or a RAF aircraft. My terminology for unscripted distractions is not great. So let's get this mouse open here. Got my good old favorite Schneider screwdriver. Take that out, and wonder if I can pop this open without a spudger. I'm gonna need, no, maybe not, maybe yes, I don't know, I'm confused. Certainly this needs a dismantle for a proper thorough cleaning, and particularly with this whole coronavirus thing, keyboard and mice, guys, they're some of the dirtiest things in your house. Toilet seats, ironically, are often some of the cleanest. So we will be dismantling this down to nothing and giving it a good soak and a clean. Now, there's definitely a different sound in those buttons. That is much more responsive than that one. So, and these are obviously custom switches. I was hoping for just a standard little tactile switch, but I may dismantle another mouse I've got and take the right click button out of that, which I would expect would be in a better state. So I'm not seeing anything functionally broken in here. Under the switches all seems good. And I can probably separate these two sections of the shell as well, and we'll have a good look underneath there and just see how far through I've worn the buttons. Because yeah, I do so many clicks. I think actually I put a mouse odometer on actually when I first got access to the internet way back in 1999. In fact, I got access a little earlier than that, but I was actively using it around about that time. And yeah, I put a mouse odometer on and I found I'd get through about 100,000 clicks a day. Nowadays I'm up around about 1 million. But when I'm actually actively doing a project, which, sorry, it's doing 10,000 a day, doing 100,000 now. I was off by a factor of 10 there, added an extra 0 in my notes. That's what happens when I'm trying to read a script as well. Anyway, there's a lot of junk in here. Maybe some of the junk actually is impinging on the use of the mouse because it's getting in under there. So we might just do that, clean it. Looks like there's a fair bit of meat on this one. There is clearly a bit of deformation in here where I've worn that down, and a bit glossy under here too. So normally I clean these with a bit of spray and wipe, but today we're going to give them a good soak. And so I think I'm going to pop this bit out, and gladly mice don't actually have a lot holding them together, so I better hope that I can go back over my footage and find out how that spring went in, because I didn't realize that would drop out. Here's our little optical sensor here that actually I learnt recently, these actually do take low-res photographs of the surface at a high rate and compare each one to the previous one to determine where it's moved. I didn't think these things were that advanced, but apparently they are. So, alright, the circuit board seems to be good. Got mouse wheel button. Worst case scenario, you know, I could probably swap right click button with mouse wheel button. Oh, sorry. No, it's left click. Where are we? Left click, right click. My left click, the main one, is the one that's gone. So I could probably just swap these two around, but I use really all three of these buttons a lot. Anyway, I'll give the case a good clean because it's horrible right now, and reassemble and see if anything improves. And we might not need to actually replace anything on the board. Alright, so my neighbour has progressed to an angle grinder, so you'll have to put up with that. You might hear a bit. Whilst I'm waiting for those parts to soak and clean, I'm going to move everything out of here and get some good old cheap spray and wipe here. And just clean this whole area down. I'm going to do the keyboard later, but it just doesn't hurt to have a bit of hygiene control here. And whilst I have put out the word that my mates are probably not best coming around here, I do have the occasional person with something really desperate to repair, namely a money maker over here, which has currently been cleaned, disinfected, and is now in quarantine for a couple of days before I actually open it up and touch it, because I don't want to be playing around with a jukebox. It's been in the hands of many people. But it is a money maker, and at the moment he's going to have to wait a couple of days just to reduce any viral risk on that, because I don't know who's handled it. And keyboard and mouse and stuff, I just try and keep it clean regularly. It's a normal thing that I do anyway, but right now it's just much more imperative that it's done. Alright, the next step in this is the lead. Now this is plugged into the back of my Logitech G15 keyboard, one of the out-of-date models, and it pushes up against the backstop on my desk here, so there's a bit of a bend in it. But this cable sits on the desk and rubs up and down, and my arm moves around the desk all the time. The cable picks up a lot of those skin cells, so we're going to give that a bit of a clean as well. These are just workshop rags. They're like ripped up leftover t-shirts from some manufacturing plant in Mexico somewhere. It's super cheap. Auto sell them by the bag of, like, I think it's 2 or 5 kilograms a bag for about $10. Just really handy, good cotton rags. You can see here that that's a lot of junk has come off that cable. We're going to run that through again. And yeah, actually, incidentally, when I do a test and tag on leads, you have to physically inspect the whole length of the lead, which usually involves running it through your hand, and you get hands like this. So often what I'll do is I'll set up a jig. If I'm doing like a swing stage lead, which are like 100 meters long, I'll set up a jig and I will roll it through like a fabric on a little cradle with a bit of this stuff on it, and to get all the gunk off before I have to go and handle it with my hands. There's nothing quite like finding a nick on the cable with your hand. There's just nothing really else that works just as well. But I'm sure there's some sparkies that'll pick me up on that and tell me there's a better method, but it's the best one I found. So it looks pretty clean right now. I'm going to get a bit of screen called glasses cleaner on this and give that a little bit of a squirt. So I'm going to run out of this stuff. I'm buying another pair of glasses from Specsavers soon. They'll probably give me another bottle of this for free. And I think this is about 2 years old for this one. But because the same optic grade acrylic that they use for the bottom of this is actually the same stuff they use in glasses these days. They're not actually made of glass anymore. Most of them anyway, but it does mean you can buff out scratches a little easier. And also screw up the diopters of your glasses, but you know, I buy the cheapest of the cheap off the shelf there, and they look like safety glasses, and actually they're modeled after the old SEC safety glasses from years ago that my old man wears, so I'm essentially wearing the same glasses my old man does. Alright, it looks like most of this stuff is dry now. Let's bring all this stuff over here, and we will change our camera angle and reassemble. Now I'm going to hang all this up here for a minute, and I'll grab some handy dandy blue tack because the cable's sitting on my lap and hanging off the bench. That will stop it from getting away. Let's assemble our clicker assembly, which I believe these two bits have to go in first, these two bits here, and insert over the top of that, and then the remainder just pushes in like so. I've got our buttons there. Alright, now we have two additional pieces. We've got this and a third additional piece. Now I need to blow the water out of this. And this is a bit that benefits from the tiniest of bits of lubrication. Now, I have a non-recommended method if I can find it. I am going to get the remaining water out with a little bit of contact cleaner. It's a plastic safe contact cleaner that should not damage the plastic. Once that evaporates, I'll give it a tiny little drop of Singer sewing machine oil, which I know is plastic safe. For some plastics. I've used this on mice before, so yeah. You can see here now that I've put some contact cleaner in here, you can see some of that silicone grease that was in there has come out, but that's fine. And I'm just going to put the tiniest of little drops in here. That's it, that's all you need, tiny little bit. But for some plastics that may degrade it too, you need to be careful. Alright, so let's put our board back in situ. I have to say this thing feels and looks a whole lot cleaner at this point. It's much nicer. Let's get our cable in situ here. Get back around and back in here. There's our strain relief right there, which is a bit of a strain to get it in, ironically. Alright. Now, the confusing bit, the mystery spring. I think that's the return spring for the mouse wheel click. Yep, okay. I haven't gone back to check my video, but logic says that should fit like so. And there's our Hall effect sensor, I think. Oh no, not Hall effect. It looks like this is an infrared based one, as many of them are. Oh no, I'm smart. I had it in the wrong spot. That bit is the bridge that hangs over this middle mouse wheel click, and this spring here sits across there to hold that up. At least I believe. Yeah, that looks about right there. That looks like that assembly is behaving as it should. That's a nice healthy click. Oh, I gave the actually gave this circuit board a soak in some hot water as well, and I've let it dry out for a bit, and actually they sound a bit crisper, so that might actually have fixed the problem. We'll find out. And sometimes it won't probably be until I actually go to do a CAD job that I'll find out whether or not I actually need to replace the button on this or not. And of course the title of this video hasn't been decided yet either. Now, Of course, that will dictate whether it's button repair or mouse cleaning. I see. There are two standoffs there that need to be approached from the side and not the rear. And where are we? We'll be back after I swear at this and hit it on the bench a few times. Alright, I worked it out. The cable that I had around the strain relief, I'd left it sitting a bit proud, so I managed to push that back into its galleries properly, and yeah, put that in there. I noticed not all the gunk has come off these pads on the bottom, so I'll give them a bit of a spray and wipe as well. Just give this rag a quick moisten with that, and this seems to have been the quickest way I found of cleaning these Teflon pads off. Let's just give rag a quick squirt with some spray and wipe, and apply a bit of friction and a little bit of patience. Similar kind of technique could be applied to lovemaking, but with not with spray and wipe, at least with a different liquid. Anyway, let's plug this in and see if we get any love out of this mouse. Okay, so let's just check our function. Okay, so let's go up to our screen up here. If you can see it for the sun glare, you know what, I'll just pick this up. I'll have a look. So, left click, down, up wheel, down wheel, that all works. Right click is our problem, or sorry, left click. So they are holding down nicely. And double click seems to be working nicely. I think it might have just been junk under the button. Okay, let's fire up AutoCAD and have a quick look. Alright, so I'm firing up AutoCAD 2017 because 2018 is as laggy as crap, even on a 6-core machine like this. And 2010 is currently not working after a dispute with user account control. So this is a CAD file that I was commissioned to do earlier today. Somebody wants to do a stencil and they're a little bit obsessed with dicks, but you know, let's see what we've got. So I want to just see if I can pull some of these points around here. Right, so this is actually working rather nicely. I'm not seeing any problems with moving things here. It's not cancelling mid action like it previously was. So I think that's going to work all right. Now, mouse wheel is sort of working. Mouse wheel button works. Scrolls in nicely. This is a little laggy, but this is 2017, so we kind of expect that. 2010 is pretty smooth. So yeah, it's all good. Well, that's the end result of this is looking a little scary, but the mouse at least is working. So all right. I think that's going to be the problem. I'm going to have a play around with this off camera and we will report in a few moments. Alright, so I've been playing with this for a little while off screen in one of my good old favourites, and I wonder who viewers will know what this game is. But the clicks seem to be working pretty well, so I think cleaning was really just all it needed. And I know those tactile switches in mice are usually very reliable. Give this a control group. Let's just actually go and try and execute an actual mission here. Let's see if we can get away with it. Try and knock out their harvester. Obviously, of course, I've got a rules INI file modified suitably for this here. So I didn't really want to lose on camera. But this will be the test if I have trouble doing anything here. Some oddities like, you know, I can build Tesla coils on water now. That's not normally part of the game. Let's take group 1 again and take out their, well, we've got to be careful, we don't want to take out this radar dome. Need to go up here, and this is not a sponsored video, by the way. This game's like ancient. But so far I'm not, oh, I've failed the mission. Ah, that's right, they destroyed it when they saw I was going to take it over. Anyway, the mouse clicking is working quite fine. Alright, so no, I don't want to replay the mission. Well, I think we fixed the clicking. I think it was just, let me turn off the music here. I think the clicking inhibition was due to dust getting between these two laminated layers on the top here. So fortunately I didn't need to replace the tactile switch. So I'm happy. In case anybody's interested in this particular mouse, as stated at the start of the video, it is a Logitech M90. They're not particularly expensive, but it's been a very reliable, very nice mouse. And if you buy things from like Reboot IT or another, say, surplus computer wholesaler, you'll find they're probably government issue or were for quite a while. Anyway, I think that's about it for this video. We've disassembled and cleaned the mouse, and yeah, and I'm operating on the learning method that you tell people you're going to tell them something, you tell them, and then you tell them you've told them. So I'm telling you that I have told you that I'm going to and have cleaned a mouse. Not sure what else we can do. Alright, well, I think I'll leave the video here. I hope it was interesting and educational. I guess you'll comment if it wasn't, or if it is. Trolls abound everywhere, so let's just continue on with that. And hang around for the start of April. There's going to be an interesting video too.